Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Nurse Dad. I don't know if you just noticed, I just changed my name there from Pinoy Life Abroad now to Nurse Dad. And that's because I kind of just want to stick to one subject rather than talk about multiple subjects and random subjects, which I used to do in the past with Pinoy Life Abroad. I would constantly talk about different types of subject. And I noticed a lot of people are more interested in listening to someone who is more consistent, just talking about a certain subject than multiple ones. So, um, not that I'm going to delete most of those videos. I am going to keep them in there just in case you want to still look into those videos in the past. But moving forward, I'll be talking more about medical related things, job related things, my family as a dad, hence the name Nurse Dad. My kids, I'll still be vlogging about our trips, a day-to-day life stuff that I do like I used to do. But once in a while, I'll be talking about topics, subjects, about recent events, which I'll be talking about soon here, um, especially medical related. So uh, there's also another thing here that I want to talk about, which is the current events that has been happening here in the States. I don't know if you've been watching the news, if you've been following the news on social media, but Minnesota recently had become the center of media. There was an ice surge here. There was, a fraud crackdown. It kind of made Minnesota look so bad on the media. I don't believe that Minnesota is a bad state. I don't believe that it is that bad as what it was portrayed on the media. I honestly feel sad when that happened. Um, I don't want to get to the or I don't want to get to the political aspect of this. I'm not a very political person. I try to keep politics to my own. Everybody has an opinion, and I respect that. Never talked about politics, never will. So I'd like to keep that to myself. But I'll just plainly say I don't agree with what has been portrayed on the media about Minnesota. I think Minnesota is still one of the best states to live in. If you do your own research, you go on the internet, wherever you want to do, just type in U.S. News best states to live in. Minnesota has always consistently topped three, top four, always been in the top five, never went out of top five best states to live in. It's not underperforming as a state. A lot of states out there are underperforming. Minnesota is always performing really well as far as stats are concerned, whether it's healthcare, politics, infrastructure, education. In various regard, Minnesota has always been performing and outperforming other states. So I still do love this state. I still want to live here. I've never regret moving here from Illinois. But unfortunately, it has been one of the greatest it's been the center of controversy lately. But anyway, there's one thing I really want to talk about here, and that's the recent Medicare, Medicaid cuts that has recently been applied. It has affected many jobs, has affected many healthcare jobs. And the reason I'm talking about this is because many of you guys that are watching are also maybe aspiring to come here, and you might be a medical professional. I'm just saying that there has been changes, and I feel the changes. I feel the hardship that now we're facing as medical professionals because of the recent cuts on those subsidies. And many of us rely on those subsidies, especially Medicare and Medicaid, especially hospitals. They do heavily rely on those subsidies. And when you cut them, it affects us medical professionals, also affects our patients, our pay, our job security, and all that stuff. So from we used to be really lenient in our staffing in the hospital, but now we have transitioned to a more strict staffing rules. And I've seen that with my previous jobs also, which some of them have actually cut down on their staff, and they've cut down on hiring. We are now hiring only internal candidates in the hospital. We're no longer hiring external candidates. I remember 7 years ago when I applied, I was hired as an external candidate in the hospital. It used to be really easy to land a job in those hospitals without having a backer, is what they call them, or having somebody in the hospital internally. But now we're only hiring internally, so which means people who are upgrading their careers who already work in the hospital, like from a PCA to a doctor, a PCA to nursing. They're being hired internally in the hospital, so we're no longer hiring people from outside or sending their applications into the hospital. Same thing with other institutions too. Actually, some hospitals are in the brink of collapse this time, and I know one hospital here in Minneapolis, they were going to close down. It's called Hennepin County Hospital, but for some reason, I think they kept up. I think there were some fundings given to them, which saved them ultimately, but they were in the brink of collapse. We're going to close down. There was already a hospital that closed down during the pandemic, but more and more hospitals we're going to close down. But I haven't heard of any hospital that has officially closed down yet. I hope none. There's none that will, because that's going to be really bad for the community. We need hospitals. We need healthcare in this country, and there's already not enough. So I don't think we can afford to lose more. But anyway, I'm just saying out there that I used to think that nursing was one of the most robust careers out there for job security. I don't think I can say that anymore. Sorry about that, guys. My kids came in here and I had to send them out because they get pretty rowdy sometimes. But anyway, I used to think that nursing was one of the most robust jobs out there as far as job security is concerned, but I don't think I can say that anymore. I don't think that nursing is still as in demand as it used to. Although I want to say nursing is still really safe from AI. With this AI takeover, I don't think we're going to be really affected by it because we still involve personal touch, personal cares. But I can't say that we're still one of the most in-demand jobs ever. We're not the most in-demand job. I think nursing was ever labeled as the most in-demand job in the country, but we're one of the most in-demand job, and we have one of the best job securities ever. Although that's been greatly reduced now with the recent changes, it's still safe from AI. So that's just one good thing. And I hope that with this AI takeover, there's going to be also massive jobs that will be created for people, because that's going to greatly affect a lot of people, especially those people who are relying on their current jobs. And I heard that I think 90% or 95% of the jobs will be replaced by AI. That sounds scary to me. I don't know what that sounds to you. Just sounds scary to me. But it is what it is. We got to embrace technology, and life has to go on. We got to find an alternative. But yeah, when I was younger, when I started as a nurse, I never feared of losing a job. I would work a job for less than a year, and then the next year I'd leave the job, and then the next day I'd land a job. Because there was always openings for nurses. There was always job postings. I have an app on my phone. Every time I log into it, there's always this plethora of job openings for nurses. It used to be that way, not anymore. It's greatly reduced this time. There's not a whole lot of options anymore. But if you want to be safe from AR, and if you're indecisive whether what field you want to go into, I think the medical field is still safe. But always, I mean, of course, always find the job that you really love. I know the medical field is not always for everyone, but it's still in demand. Not as in demand anymore, but it's still in demand. So yeah, that's really all I want to talk about. And I hope you continue to support this channel. If you agree to this video, drop down a comment. If you disagree, drop down a comment below. And then we can talk about that in the next video.